Cool. Yeah. So recording. This is like our second or third meeting for Malware Club. For those of you that don't know, we've been meeting. Let's see if I can find my slides in here. Oops. Sharing the wrong screen. There you go. Cool. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, this is Malware Club, and we've been meeting since about the start of last semester, and we've had quite a few meetings now. So if you'd like to catch up on any of the meetings, you should just be able to go into the YouTube channel and you can see everything there. Sorry, my console froze again.
I think I found it.
Oh, you did? Cool.
It's an elf. That's cool.
I'm just going to share my screen again. Cool, yeah. So get my slides open. Yeah, so we meet, and you've all probably read the emails that I send out by now, but we meet bi-weekly. So that would be 2 weeks from today on Tuesdays from 7 p.m. And we try to keep it under an hour, but if you look at the previous recordings, we tend to go over a smidge.
Sometimes quite a lot.
Yeah, sometimes quite a lot. But that means we just have so much interesting information that we just can't condense it. But in the interest of everyone else's time, I'll try to keep things short and sweet today, but also make sure you still get all the information. I haven't introduced myself, but I'm the president of Malware Club. My name's Micah Flack. I graduated last semester from the Masters of Computer Science program, and that was a 4+1 as well. But I am just kind of helping out with the spring semester until Odin, or if we get any other club leadership, sort of take the reins. Cool. Does anyone have any quick questions just about club stuff before we begin?
I guess I had like sort of an announcement.
Oh, sure.
So I was talking with Dr. Stroshine, and he wants to help out with the club. So he was thinking that like maybe each time we meet, like, or maybe we can pick another day, but like he wants to like go over like a malware sample with us. So he would basically like basically give us tips of like how he would analyze the malware sample, and then maybe like we can like members of the group like in their own time can like go and analyze the sample, and then I think we'll like meet with him, and then he'll discuss with us like we'll share our results, and then he can like he'll like go over it with us.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, if anybody would be interested in that, I'll talk to him.
Sounds like a great idea.
And like Micah was kind of alluding to earlier, this is a student-led, student-driven club, and so any of you who may have ideas for things to do now or in the future, those are always possibilities and potential opportunities for leadership, next year, or even vice presidents right now.
True. Cool. Yeah, and like Brizantine was saying, today's topic was recommended, or not recommended, but requested from another member from our last meeting 2 weeks ago. So pretty much, anything malware, reverse engineering, if you're not very knowledgeable about the topic and you'd like the group to go over it together, we can do that. Or, like he said, if you have anything you want to present you can do that here too. I'll try to get a sort of schedule or planner out for the rest of the semester, and that way people can also look at it and see if there's like a spot that's empty. Then maybe you can contact us, and we'll see about maybe setting you up to present something. It doesn't have to be like for the full meeting. It can just be for a few minutes if you don't want to talk for very long. But cool. So we'll just kind of dive right into the presentation I've made here. It's just kind of briefly, we're going to be talking about cryptojacking. And cryptojacking, it's a form of malware that takes advantage of like users' devices and tries to use it for crypto mining. And the cryptocurrency we'll be going over specifically is Monero. And we'll kind of get more into that and how everything kind of weaves together in a few slides. Oh, shoot. The VMware console froze again. See if I can get it to reconnect. Darn. Okay, and I just need a minute to reopen that again. Sorry. Normally I connect a different way, but I've been trying to do it this way, and I'm just not having a ton of luck with it at the moment. Cool. Sweet. So if you guys can all see that, the slides?
Yeah, I could see it.
Sweet. So I figured we'd just start off going over some in the news. So from Heimdall Security, they released a recent report, and you might have seen this in the news. I'm not sure I've seen it circulating in the unofficial Slack or Discord, but there was a recent Emote Malware campaign that's been going on for quite a while, and it was, to say the least, recently put to rest. Authorities had taken control over the entire network, and they shut it down. If you don't know what a Emote malware is, so Emote is a, just need to make sure this thing doesn't sleep, type of banking Trojan. So it primarily spreads through like mail spam, or through things like spam emails. It could be like spear phishing, and that's like targeted malicious emails towards a specific individual. And they could be mimicking like your RuneScape account, saying like, oh, your password's being stolen, or I mean, your account's being stolen, quick, change your password, or anything that's really targeted in that nature. And some of the common ways that they try to deliver their payloads is they'll try to use things like malicious scripts. They could have link embeds in a website. They could hijack like ads in a newsletter or a website, things like phishing links, or if they have you download like a docx or like a Word file, they could embed some macros or VB scripts. Those are some of the like most common things that you'll see, or like embedded JavaScript on a website that when the page loads, it loads other scripts, or forces your browser to install like a Chrome extension. That's another common one that I've seen. But the actor behind Emotet is known as Mealybug. So they've been going since about 2014, and they turned their operation to like sort of a successful crimeware rink with malware as a service. So it's kind of also like thinking of things like Loki Bot, where they provide a portal. It's sort of a C2 that's all packaged and ready, and you can just modify it to deploy like specific malware or payloads that you want. Typically, you'll see it like running in 1 to 2 or 3 epochs, but I guess before I get too in depth, because this isn't the main point of our meeting, I'll just catch up to what why it's in the news. So as of January 27th, 2021, the infrastructure of Emote has been taken down. So it's effectively just like cut the dragon's head. I think that's the saying. It was coordinated by Europol and Eurojust, so it's a bunch of European agencies, and they also collaborated with some in the United States. They said, this is just a brief snippet, the infrastructure that was used by Emote involves several hundreds of servers located across the world, all of these having different functionalities in order to manage the computers of the infected victims. That's because Emote is it's a botnet to spread to new ones, to serve other criminal groups, and to ultimately make the network more resilient against takedown attempts. I'll just cut it off there. This is actually kind of related to the and it froze again. To the Monero miners, just because, and we'll actually cover this even more in a couple of slides. But the point of cryptojacking is that you don't really have the resources yourself, so you rely on infected victims to provide that, computational power or that crunching resource. Share my screen again. Cool. And then the next one, we'll just kind of keep moseying along, is about a barcode scanner app. So there's a barcode scanner app, or there was, on the Google Play Store that had about 10 million installs, like active, on Android devices. And it was, just a regular Android app with just normal ad services being, run on that with, without any malicious activity. And then researchers identified that from a cached Google Play web page for the app, where it shows like when it was most recently updated, that the malicious content was most likely added on December 4th of 2020. So this is a pretty big, useful app that had about 10 million users, and it froze again. Was just randomly turned into full-on malware. And what it was doing was it was loading malicious payloads through users' browser, and then trying to get them to download a Android Trojan. Luckily, some users were able to catch it because they had firewall and antivirus software that caught it when it was being downloaded. Could try to show a recording of it happening, but it was pretty much like instantly, once the malicious content was updated on the Barcode app, as soon as that content was added, your browser would open and it would instantly start being routed through a bunch of web pages until it could get the payload downloaded. And a lot of people were confused because they're like, how did I suddenly get this malware? Because they had this one app that was on there for a long time, trusted, and then suddenly bam, malware. Sorry, I'm gonna try to get that screen back. I'm gonna try to switch to the web console and see if that lasts a little longer. My screen might get a little small because of it. Cool. Can you guys see that all right?
Yeah, I could see it.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
So now we'll just move on towards cryptojacking news. These are just some brief links. I'll
Hey,
try to just,
Micah,
oh yeah.
if you put your mouse in the white area and then hold down like the controller shift button and then use your wheel on the mouse, you should be able to make that bigger.
Oh, sure. Oops. Oh, oops.
And then just move the little gray bar down. There you go.
Just gonna get this back. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. Cool. Yeah, so thank you. Cryptojacking news. I'll just quickly hop through these. If any of them pique your interest, those are links. So I'll share the presentation. It's on the drive for drive.malware.club. So you should be able to get it there. And you can just get more into the details, but I'll just try to give like a quick synopsis. So a new Monero malware campaign has been found to target Linux users, which sort of the prevailing common sense for a while, especially with like Mac devices, is that, oh well, Mac or Linux, well they're safer because they can't get hacked, but that's just because attackers aren't targeting those devices. They Oh, why is that's annoying? Sorry. My console just keeps crashing. See if I can get it back open. Don't normally have this issue. Okay, guess I'm back to doing the remote console. Yeah, so prevailing knowledge is that, oh well, Linux Mac can't be attacked, but a Romanian hacker group was found to be targeting Linux users using a toolkit with C2 functionality provided by a IRC, so Internet Relay Chat botware, which further provided a revenue stream via Monero mining. So what they're able to do was hijack those Linux devices and mine Monero coins in the background, which is interesting. So then next we have Lemon Duck mining malware, uses fake COVID emails. I mean, this one's just pretty short. And you see this with any malware campaign. Whenever there's sort of a pandemic, oh, and it froze again, on the rise, you'll see them, sort of taking advantage of the situation and saying like, oh, hey, you're on this newsletter, or hey, you want to know about this COVID-19 news? Well, download this app and it'll give you like real-time information for COVID data in your area. So you download it and then, it might actually provide that functionality because it's pretty simple. I mean, they can just have an embed link to the Johns Hopkins site that shows that information. But in the background, again, they're using those devices to mine cryptocurrency. Thirdly, crypto malware found in GitHub Rubygem repositories. So it was 11 total. If you don't know what a Rubygem repository is, it's like a library. It's used for the Ruby programming language. Ruby's kind of like, if you've used Python, it's a lot like that. It's just, I'd say, primarily a scripting language. But it's been extended and you can use it for other things like web development, for like Ruby on Rails, and a whole lot more. So the fact that you can be installing these libraries that you believe to be safe and you need to use for your websites, but the second they touch your system, they've already been compromised, and they have crypto malware running in the background. So then lastly, and this one's also pretty short. So GitHub is the largest host of crypto malware, and you'll see this in the report from Talus that we're going to go over. A lot of just malware authors have been using GitHub to host and deploy their malware because it's unlimited bandwidth. You have like 100% reliability. You can expect that GitHub's probably never going to go down. You don't need to worry about maintaining that service. So what they can do is they can just, the same way that you would use Git, you can clone, or you can pull, you can download those samples from GitHub, and it functions primarily a lot like the sample provider on GitHub, the Zoo. They collect malware samples, they provide reports, and then also other things like Styx graphs, which is sort of, it's like an intelligence threat feed report or data gathering tool. A lot of like malware element, tongue twister, malware analysis analysts use it. But it's just kind of interesting, and it links back to a previous topic we covered with Discord being used for malware distribution and as a C2. So you have a lot of these services that, as a convenience to their users, provide hosting for files, out of convenience so that they can share it between users. But, lo and behold, it can also be used maliciously. And now lastly, crypto miner backdoors found in fake WordPress plugins. So, I mean, the whole fake WordPress plugins and just WordPress plugins being abused in general isn't, profound or new. But what is new is that you see crypto miners using them to, backdoor and gain access. So you'll have a web page. That's what WordPress is, if you don't know. WordPress is a web page like designer framework provider, so that sort of like common or less knowledgeable people can easily spin up like blogs for whatever they want to like, talk about, whether it's like yoga or cars or food, whatever people do blogs for. They'll already be compromised because they're running these WordPress plugins that they add to their site. And then when the users go to their site and, they're just browsing, looking through the different posts, while that web page is active, it's being used by the crypto miner to, mine cryptocurrency. And it's, it's also like a botnet. It's just interesting, when you look through the news and you see the different ways that malware authors will take advantage of just normal features that you probably wouldn't think otherwise of until you see it in the wild. So it's kind of just something to keep you on your toes. Cool. I have to close this again and then reopen it. I wonder if the web console actually disappeared. Oh, no, it is still there. Okay. I guess my web console didn't actually disappear before. It just went behind all my other windows. Cool. Yeah, so now you might be asking, because, not everybody knows what a cryptocurrency is. That's a Nyan cat that looks like a coin. Maybe you might say like a Bitcoin. So cryptocurrencies, they're a form of digital money. They're not physical. It's not like hard cash. And they're created by doing repetitive, and successful complex mathematical problems. So it's a lot like saying you have to solve like 100 Sudoku puzzles, and then you get like a package that you get to open, and there's a bunch of like dollar bills in there. So, and there's also hundreds of different currencies. So you have like Ethereum, that's pretty popular, Bitcoin, Monero. One that's really been in the news lately because of Elon Musk is Dogecoin. You'll see these kind of like tossed around a lot. I know before it used to be really popular was Mt. Gox. They were an exchange service where you could mine coins. You could link your wallet through there, and then you could what's the word when you exchange? Yeah, you could exchange your cryptocurrencies. At the time, it was mostly Bitcoin, but you could exchange it for real money, like hard dollars, and then you could transfer it back to like a PayPal account or your banking account, or vice versa. But a while back, they actually got hacked, and lots of people lost their wallets, and wallets are what are used to keep track of the coins that you mine, or that you might send back and forth between other users. And quick analogy that I have in here is that you can think of mining cryptocurrency like decompressing a zip file. So when you're mining, you're trying to get like a block, and then that block is like the zip file. And when you finish mining or decompressing that, you get access to all the files or the coins within that block. And don't quote me on this part, but I believe like Bitcoin it's like artificially limited. So the more people that are mining it, the harder it gets to, mine more coins. I know they're all different in, how they're implemented, but sort of the prevailing idea is supposed to be, security and privacy. Oops. Yeah, and this is another little visual that I added. So it's like that's the block, and he's mining it, and bada bing, bada boom, there's some coins. That's the Bitcoin logo too, by the way, if you didn't know. So what is cryptojacking exactly? So we just kind of went over this. So the idea is that you want to infect as many devices as possible and secretly, so that they don't uninstall your miners in the background. And these could be just like a normal application. It could be like a rootkit in the background. It can really be deployed anyway, as long as that the miner is running. You'll see it being ran as JSON, or not JSON, sorry, JavaScript in browsers, or as even add-ons. So like you'll go to a website and be like, oh, hey, you want this extension, right? And it might try to say like it's an ad blocker, and you install it, but really it's using your resources to and the technical term you'll see in mining is pooling. So you can get a group of users together, and you can pool together your computing resources to mine blocks faster. And then sort of the idea is that for each block you get, you split that up, and then you get all the coins. But sort of this is the reverse. I mean, you're doing it without people's consent and trying to keep it all for yourself, while having them absorb the costs, especially like electrical costs of mining it. There have been some instances where in China they banned cryptocurrency farming, and that's where you get like these big like data centers, and you use them just purely for mining cryptocurrency, and they'd rack up to like $80,000 worth of utility bills every month. So it's incredibly expensive process. Other issues. I mean, you can like nuke a device. It's if you ever try buying used hardware, something you might see people recommend is that you don't buy used like GPUs or used CPUs. I mean, you can buy them, you can probably get away with it, but I mean, there are other issues besides crypto mining, but it's really taxing on your system, and it requires you to hold like a high clock speed for prolonged periods, and that's it's just high heat, and heat is it's just hard on things. You can think of it like running your car, and if you're driving back and forth from East and West Coast, I mean, your car is not going to last very long. Yeah, so this was a pretty interesting threat feed that I found, while gathering all this information. It's on GitHub. It's gathered by a user called GSU AREZ Tangil. I didn't look too far to see if it was a group of contributors or if it's just this guy doing it, but there was like over 2,000 samples he had gathered on this repo, and it just contains a lot of like their own investigations, things like source code and data over crypto mining and jacking malware specifically. So again, thousands of samples and campaigns, and they each contain technical deep dives, and they're just like brimming with IOCs, indicators of compromise, and payload analysis. You can see here at the top we have Rocke, so it's campaign 611. You can see the number of samples they have, wallets that they've identified from that campaign, and you can see the first payment. And they know this because if you have a wallet number, you can actually go to, I'll go back, like cointracker.io. Most of them you can input the wallet ID, and you can see like just how much money the scammers or cryptojackers are making. It's really interesting to watch. And you get other information, of course, like date first reported, and then where all this information was gathered from. So it's Cisco, Talus. If you ever look through their reports, they're usually like really good. It's good quality stuff. So deployment methods, cryptojackers, they have more than just one way of sort of enslaving your computer. It can be anything from hijacking your Discord client or pretty much any Electron app. And an Electron app is its framework, for creating applications. It's using things like Slack, Discord, Spotify, I think, and even VS Code, and then Telegram, and a few others. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head, but they're all Electron apps in some way or another. VS Code actually uses some Visual Studio Code just to run a little faster. That's what sets it apart from like Atom, which is another editor, but it runs on Electron app, which the deal with that is Electron app, it's basically just packaging like a Chrome browser and then using JavaScript to do whatever functions or just whatever you're trying to program it to do. And what you can do is you can sideload or just overwrite the JavaScript in the Electron app to add like backdoors or again, like crypto miners that are written in JavaScript that run whenever you start Discord, which I would assume for most people is on startup. And they can do all sorts of other stuff too. Like they could have I'm forgetting the word. So like they try to gather all of your credentials and other like private information. Like they could use keyloggers. That's one thing they could do. So they could steal all your keys, and eventually you're going to be copying and pasting passwords. So they'll get all that information. Like if you're doing your tax returns and you type in your SSN, they'll get that. The amount of stuff that you can do just because of how vulnerable apps like just Electron apps are is pretty cool. Of course, you can also you have your standard like drive-by download. You go to a website or you get redirected through an ad provider. So it could be like you're on Hulu, or sometimes I think it happens on YouTube. I wouldn't really know anymore because I use an ad blocker like everywhere I go. But you could just be on YouTube, or on like an anime site, just watching a show, and there could be like an iframe, which is like an embedded, invisible link over the page. And when you click on it to interact with anything, because it covers the whole page, you're going to click it and it's going to send you to another website. and then it could reroute you through multiple websites, and it could just, keep going until it gets you to their C2, where you get to the first stage, and it tries to get you to download like NEXE or whatever, and then you'll see it like try to do like VB scripts or PowerShell, or I think one was Empire. That's a PowerShell scripting hacking tool. That's sort of the idea. I mean, there's a bunch of ways they can do it. Some quick, just tidbits. So 25% of businesses estimate that they've been victims of cryptojacking. I know this pretty well because I interned at First Financial in Sioux Falls. And one of the things that, they had me doing, and it kept me pretty busy, was going around people's browsers and uninstalling cryptojacking extensions and just other, junk that you kind of just download while browsing the web. Otherwise, I mean, you have cryptojacking activity, which has served to its peak in December of 2017, when you had more than like 8 million cryptojacking events blocked by Symantec. 25% of WordPress plugins among Alexa's most popular sites are flagged with critical vulnerabilities that allow mining botnets. And then, I mean, probably one more obvious things that you'll see victims finding is that applications can take 5 to 10 times longer because, all that CPU, and some cases, GPU resources are being used for coin mining. And then this is a quick graph from Jsfiddle or from Skybox Security, and it's just showing the, distribution between the currents of malware between different types in the second half of 2017 and then the first half of 2018. So that's over 1 year. And you can see how everything shifts, and it's predominantly starts with ransomware and then has gone over to cryptocurrency miner. And I didn't find anything recently because supposedly the recent GPUs that came out from NVIDIA and AMD are supposed to be really good for crypto mining. So maybe, who knows, in like a year or two, we can get some more information about this, and we can see if that trend's just, sort of continued, or if it's just died off. And just the frequency of cryptocurrency or cryptojacking attacks. So this is the technical deep dive portion. For this, let me see if I can exit out of this. So for this, if I can find the right tab. So we were going to go over the, Rocke, Monero miner. And I don't have any real particular reason for choosing this one other than just, it says champion of Monero miners. So, why would you pick anything else? I should actually ask, does anybody have questions at this point, or have I rambled?
There is a question in the chat. Evan was wondering, how are they tracking wallet transactions with Monero?
That could be something that I might have misunderstood. A lot of my knowledge comes from just Bitcoin. Let me see if I can find. I know
I'd like to know how they're getting their metrics as well, because Monero is supposed to be untraceable. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Here, give me a second. I know one of the articles I had up covered that. Let me see if this is the right one. Yeah, so I guess I might have confused Monero's XMR with just traditional Bitcoin and how those wallets work.
I'd also like to point something else about Monero too. The reason why it's used in these types of malware is because it's CPU mined. So it uses an algorithm called RandomX, which can only be done on a CPU. So that means that phones and pretty much any computer can be used as a target.
Okay.
Unlike Bitcoin, where you need like an application-specific integrated circuit miner.
True. Yeah, it's ASIC. Or
Yep.
yeah, yeah. It's really interesting just how much crypto mining has just changed over the years. Because I mean, before, like I guess what I was going off of was that traditionally it's been a GPU intensive thing. But then I guess, like you said, you're seeing more trends towards just CPU processing because the majority of, I would assume, like IoT devices that you'll see on the internet are predominantly just CPU, and they don't have powerful GPUs.
As far as I know, Monero is the only one that's CPU mined these days.
Okay. Do you know about Dogecoin, or is Ethereum's GPU, right?
Yeah, I mine Ethereum. I have a pretty extensive GPU mining farm that I
Oh,
run.
okay.
But Dogecoin runs on a script algorithm, which is also ASIC mined. So
Oh,
it
okay, cool.
uses the same algorithm that Litecoin would use.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if maybe you know the manufacturer name. I don't remember off the top of my head, but before you used to be able to purchase like those ASICs, and they were machines or computers, devices that were dedicated solely for just crypto mining.
Those are the ASICs.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, they're usually made by Bitmain or Silicon.
Okay. Yeah. So if, I don't know if that's interesting to anyone else, you might want to look into that a little further. It's a pretty broad topic. Yeah, sorry. So I've just been digging through my articles that I used, and yeah, so I guess the general idea is that, like you said, XMR is favored by crime rings because of its privacy in transactions. Yeah, interesting. Oh, cool. Is that the Talos ones?
Yeah, I wasn't able to find that. I misspoke, but
Oh,
I
okay.
was looking. I did just find some JavaScript things that, for instance, on just websites or that people could visit, and just gives a variety of just a few different ways in which they could kind of start the process,
Okay.
showing some of the obfuscation.
Yeah. If you want, I mean, something that I was trying to prepare, but didn't have enough time for this deep dive portion of the meeting. Instead of the Talos, which I was hoping I could find, but couldn't, and this is a really good website. Some of you who've already taken the classes would probably know about it, but it's malwaretrafficanalysis.net. It's a really good resource, and this guy does a lot of work with what he publishes. Typically, for any technical report he does, you'll find keycaps for all malware and artifacts, and then you'll find the actual malware and artifacts themselves, which is really interesting. And there wasn't a whole lot of information to go off of this one, so I just didn't have time to prepare the actual technical report myself. But if this is an interesting enough topic for everyone, I mean, we can keep going. I do, or if maybe the ones that Brizendine just shared, we could do those ones too, but we could briefly go over how crypto miners and malware use JavaScript.
I think the ones I gave, people, if they want to open up the link, they can do so. A couple of them are like very simple.
Oh,
But
okay.
the others are more complex, and I think it'd take quite a bit of time to go through some of them. Although people, if they're knowledgeable about that, they're certainly welcome to do so. But it might be cool to go over them a little bit if you have time at the end.
Okay. Let me see if I can get this open in my window.
I mean, I don't want to interrupt your technical report that you were doing.
Oh no. I mean, unless everybody just wants to go over the Talus report, which I mean, we could just try to like speed read. It's pretty interesting. I mean, it's mostly just interesting looking at these campaigns because you can just see how many stages there are to any, one particular campaign, and how it might start off with just some innocuous website with this just being like an open file system. And, you download those binaries, like here it's saying the initial payload is, or the first stage is 3307.bin and 0720.bin. And he opened, well, I guess I should say he or she, don't really know. They opened up both samples in their ELF. Oh, it says it's marked on virus total. I wonder if you have an account, you might be able to pull it from there.
I don't have a professional account for that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you open it up in IDA. That's what they're using here. And you can see the string here replaced with your password. And
what is that technique called?
Oh, this here with the hard-coded password.
Yeah, the way that they're doing that. It doesn't have to be Micah that answers. That's the stack strings.
Yeah.
I got a quick question.
Sure.
When it's talking about CS, what is that pointing to? Is that like, what does that symbol mean? I guess for when it in like the instruction that says move byte pointer CS to this area.
I believe that's call stack.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And then this is at the offset here. I mean, you can pretty much just ignore that. It's 614860. So if you click this, then it would take you to. Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem, Evan. Glad that you could be here for our meeting. If you'd like us to go over anything, you can just email. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, if that wasn't clear, so this is just pointing to call stack at that offset, and you can see it's moving this character R into there, and it just kind of goes down, and it's just a form of stack manipulation. But the next part of the binary is just that it drops a A7 shell script, which is a bash script, which makes sense because let's scroll up here. These were, oops, if I can highlight, ELF binaries. So it's going to be in bash and not PowerShell. But then you also see, and this leads into what we were just talking about, but and this is something that you're kind of seeing on the rise. You'll see the scripts are downloading files from GitHub, and it's lib process hider. So they're using GitHub as a part of their C2 network for hosting malware. And here, it goes over config.json, which is the config file for the XMR Monero miner. And you have to forgive me, I didn't read too much into Monero specifically, but if you have the config file, is that enough to track the Monero wallet?
I think you could probably see the wallet address with it, but you shouldn't be able to see any transactions that go in or out of the account.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, that was my misunderstanding. I just assumed that with the wallet number, you'd be able to see transactions as well.
That's the one difference between Monero and pretty much every other blockchain, is that it's not transparent.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I guess that was, the biggest thing that I missed while reading everything. It makes sense because I never actually understood why they always chose Monero instead of just something traditionally like Ethereum or Bitcoin.
It has a pretty extensive obfuscation routine that, like, first of all, it will generate its a unique public address for every transaction that gets destroyed at the end of the transaction. And then it has a mixing function, so it bundles all the transactions in every block and mixes them so you can't tell which address it's being sent to.
Okay. Does this make sense for everyone, or does do any parts need to be explained a little more? Or
I think that's I mean, one of my questions is, say if it's like a JavaScript based, like browser based type of miner, what CPU restrictions would it have? Would it be stuck to the browser restrictions, or would it try to maybe make a child process so it can use as much resources as possible?
that's actually a really good question. I have no idea. We should actually look that up.
No worries. It's like one of those like nitty-gritty things that nobody has, at least I haven't heard from anybody what it does, but I know JavaScript will run in your browser like it's condensed to your DOM, but there's also a chance of maybe they're trying to exploit your browser and try to spawn a child process or something.
Okay, well, this looks interesting. Oops.
One thing I found when I try to research this is usually the pages about cryptojacking usually have cryptojacking malware attached to them.
Oh, that's sweet. Like a little gift basket.
Yeah.
Like a mint on the pillow when you check into a hotel.
I guess that ties back to something I should have said before we started even going into things about deep dive. You should always use snapshots.
Oh, don't worry. My VM for my malware analysis class has been run with malware probably 3 times over so far. I just keep it off now.
It's the town
You
bicycle.
can always get a new one. Just send an email.
That doesn't make it spicy, you know? Like, you gotta live on the edge a little bit.
Cool. So
I'll be
I
putting
guess
some new ones out pretty soon in a second.
No worries. It's all good.
Unless I'm reading this wrong, I mean, it seems pretty cut and dry. You can actually ask that when you execute the script that it spawns a child process, but I think this is for the payload. It's not necessarily for when it starts.
Oh, gotcha.
Maybe a little further down.
It's pretty cool.
Oh no, there's only one. That's just a really good question. I've never actually considered whether it'd be limited to the browser when it's doing the JavaScript.
JavaScript generally is limited to the browser when it's running in the browser, but if you execute JavaScript outside of the browser, then it can do anything to the file system.
Okay.
But I think a lot of, I think some of what we're talking about is in the browser. There's also the possibility it could go and download some additional executable content and install somewhere and make itself very covert.
True.
So many different possibilities are out there.
I mean, they could always, so I guess like one common technique is like with using PowerShell, and then, you know, you can sort of embed, you know, like base64 for like actual binary into those like Empire scripts or PowerShell scripts. And then you could run the JavaScript that way. Or just, you know, the separate like Monero miners. Yes, it's just a really interesting topic. Cool. Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to see if I could find anything, you know, more on your question. Oh, sorry. So I just noticed the question from Luke. How old are the JS samples? Noticed a lot of them reference CoinHive.
I was just looking on VirusShare, and I think some of them were dated 2018, but I didn't check too closely, but they should be inactive now. And CyberChef can help with some of the deobfuscation for one of them.
Let me see if I can just pull that up. So VirusShare is Brazilian showed this to me before for one of my research projects, and he helped me download a couple of their torrents because I wanted to gather a bunch of malware for some machine learning projects I was doing. So I haven't actually gone out and contacted them, but if you get an account through them, they actually have like hundreds of archives, just of malware that they've collected over the years that you can download. So if you're trying to, just sort of do any of your own analyses that you wanted, or if you're trying to play with something like Cuckoo, this would be a good resource. But you have to contact them. I think it's under their about. Yeah, you have to email this person and ask for access. Another part, so I wanted to go through the traffic analysis sample because they actually provided it here, and they have every stage of the malware, but there's not a full just description. So I would have had to do it all by hand. And this is kind of, and I'm sure some of you have done this. Oh, there's my mouse. In malware analysis and, going through VB scripts or JavaScript like this can be a little time consuming. So some of the tools that I use is like after I get the JavaScript like this out of the HTML page or whatever, and it doesn't look as neat as this at first. This is because I've actually already played with it quite a bit. But you can open up tools like this one, the JavaScript Beautifier. I'll actually put it in here. I think I still have it. Nope, no, I don't. I'll copy it and I'll show you what it looks like. Oops. So you can copy it and then you can just kind of dump it in there and then you hit beautify and you can select all these options over here on the right, but you don't typically need them. And it will auto like indent and space out everything like from here between the braces and the semicolons. So it's super useful. And it makes looking at statements like this a lot easier because normally you're not always lucky enough for the original researchers to go through and do everything. So using something like this can actually make it go a lot quicker because you can beautify it and you can look at it like this and you can find where the program like starts, and it's right here because the window works with DOM, and when it's loaded, it'll try to run exec script. You can see it's a variable string, and just looking at this, you can see v dfg is bscript. So v bscript, so it's a VB script. And I didn't get to that part, but what you would do is you can use something like console.log, which is what I prefer to do, or you can use eval. Or no, oh yeah, that's why it didn't work. You'd have to console.log eval fa with this in there, and then it would, you'd press fn 12, look in your console, and it should print it out there. If you're careful enough, you don't really have to worry about anything detonating on accident. But if you don't want it to run on your system, you can use one of my favorite little tools for, monkeying around with JavaScript, and that's Jsfiddle. And it's basically just like a little web session that you can do HTML and CSS in. And it's mostly meant for like doing prototyping, like in groups for like rapid web development. But you can actually like paste your JavaScript in here. Yeah, see like that. And then I'm just going to minimize the chat. Yeah, then you can go like run. It's not going to work because, yeah, I still actually have to go through and some of the formatting's off. The beautifier doesn't get all of it for you, but it gets a decent chunk and it makes looking at this less of an eyesore. Yeah, that's generally my approach to doing JavaScript and getting like some of the results that you saw in the Talus report. I don't know if anybody else has maybe a different approach they want to share, or it usually doesn't differ that much. If not, that's cool too. That's just sort of an interesting part of the process for when you're doing these analyses. Another thing that I don't know if everyone knows about this, but what Brittany was just talking about was the malware bazaar by abuse. So it's just another like database you can go to look up malware samples, and you can do it by like MD5, SHA-256, SHA-1. There's like import hash, TLSH hash. You can use ClamAV signatures, whole bunch of stuff like tags. Like I think we should be able to do, that should work. Yeah. So this would be a strain or version of the Talos malware we were just looking at, but I don't believe it's the exact same one. Like you can see here, and I mean, it just gives you kind of like a general overview. I haven't actually used this in a while, so thank you for reminding me.
And if you wanted to download a sample, it says download sample. It doesn't require a password or anything. It's just infected as the password for the zip.
Yeah, I guess I haven't looked at it before, but can just kind of download it and, why not? Download. Oh, that's great. Maybe, oh, it did download. My bad. My screen's just too zoomed in. And you don't necessarily need to be following along right now, but in fact,
Maybe I could share some of the JavaScript while you're doing this.
Sure.
getting it ready.
Yeah, if you want.
You'll have to stop sharing.
Oh, my bad. I guess also depends how long everybody wants the meeting to go today.
I'm just going to share very briefly. These were just a couple things that I downloaded while he was talking. I hadn't really planned any of this ahead of time, so these are not carefully selected or anything like that. Let's find, so this one is pretty simple, and all we have is just simple thing right down here to redirect, and or actually right here. So a little script there that will start the coin hive, start that working. And we see the miners start there. And looks like they've commented that out so that it's not accidentally run by somebody who's analyzing it, which people should know better anyway. Another small, simple one I wanted to look at here. This one was a foreign one. I didn't really look too closely at this one. This is a much larger one, and some of these are just legitimate websites that have been infected. So it could be something like WordPress, and there's a WordPress vulnerability, and they've taken advantage of it. And they may go in there and insert things by making use of the, say, a WordPress vulnerability. This JavaScript here, a fair amount of obfuscation. Now it could be legitimate purposes that it could be used for, but could also be related to coinjacking. If we go down here to the bottom, where was it? So I see Coin Hive right here, and I have Coin Hive in a few different places. So what I probably would do is maybe try to deobfuscate the bigger chunk that I saw up above, which is right here. If you just kind of visually inspect, you can notice that this looks, pretty different from everything else, and all the different colors indicate that these are functions as opposed to just text. And actually, which one was it? Okay, so this was the start of one that I looked at, and as you can see, that has very heavy obfuscation. And one thing I noticed right here is this is a split. I took the hex here, and this is just ASCII, and I ran this through CyberChef, and I saw that was split. And then I also ran this as well through CyberChef. And I got all of this right here. I was working on getting rid of the 7C because it's splitting on 7C, which is this right there. And it just wasn't working. So I went over to just Sublime and just did it manually myself and just replaced each one with a new line. And it looks like it's hard to say exactly how they're using these because there's so much obfuscation. It's going to pick, random things out of here. And I think that I saw some functions like memcopy, for instance, memmove. Then I also took the same thing over to JS Beautifier. And when I did that, I pasted the entire thing there. Then I got this. So it really tremendously simplified it. And I'm thinking that it oversimplified it. But that's just what I looked at in just 5 or 10 minutes. I didn't really prepare anything else, but just wanted to show you some of the things that can be done there with JavaScript. Did anybody else look at any of these and see anything they wanted to comment on? Or okay, I'll give this back to Micah.
Cool. I think that's pretty much everything I had, unless we want to just keep looking at.
Oh, I thought you were going to look at the binary.
Oh,
I thought that's what you were doing. That's okay if you're not ready, or it's hard to do something off the cuff.
Sorry, I I didn't realize I was supposed to look at it. That's my bad. Yeah, here, let me open it real quick. It's always fun, just live demos.
Somebody changed their name to "Gonna Look at the Binary."
I have the wrong thing open. Oh, I guess I can share my screen again. Just gotta find that. Cool. So I'm sharing again. Just gonna open up IDA demo. Don't really need to save the database, so it's okay to use this.
This is the binary you just downloaded?
Yeah.
.NET. Interesting.
Yeah, let me, if this is .NET, let me try something else first. Wrong folder. There you go. If it's .NET, this should do a much better job. I mean, there are other ways to check, I guess, but
Sometimes you can tell by the presence of certain imports. They may have VB in them if you open it in IDA.
I don't know. Doesn't look like it so far. Oh no, it totally is.
It's just that Arabic writing that got you off, right?
Well, it's like once I saw the Arabic, I was like, oh no, what's it trying to do?
I got a quick question about just kind of .NET versus C compiled stuff in general. With dnSpy, is it trying to make a best guess effort for the source code, or is it able to extract the actual source code because of like .NET assembly or something?
It actually decompiles it like fully, not like IDA decompiling, but the way I guess you build .NET when you use like dnSpy, or another one's .peek. That one's pretty popular. I mean, you can see here it like actually can fully decompile it because it preserves I forget what to call it. The symbols, like the decrypt here name for the function. And you can see this is some obfuscation because it's just manipulating arrays. But yeah, the decompilation for like dnspy versus something like C++, like just normal PE32 it's pretty different. They're two different processes.
So yeah, true decompilation, not simulated.
Oh yeah, cool. So if under the bracket module main function here, oops, where's there we go. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty interesting. Let me go back up the top. So you have this array. I guess this initializes main with a string. Scroll down here, see if we can find anything interesting. Like it's probably going to call a function after this and then send the array with it. Oops. Oh, okay. Yeah, it looks like we got. Yeah, so it's a pretty big array. It has 29,000 elements. So you can see it goes executing assembly. That's garbage. So yeah, you can see here, like I said, it calls decrypt with the array we just looked at, and I'm guessing this is like a key value. And then it's going to go decrypt. It's going to pass the array here is A0, and then A1 here's this uint A1 is the number key that it sent with the call to decrypt. And then it's a lot to look at. Generally, I mean, this stuff is just like put in here to like confuse you, but I mean, if you just like look at it, you can usually like skip straight to the end and you can just eval the result. Sometimes it's not that simple. Oops. I went too far. This is actually a pretty big one.
What do you think that is? Do you think that's just obfuscated content that's going to be then deobfuscated and executed as instructions, or is it serving some other purpose?
I would assume it's just going to be like some binary or blob or something. I guess unless there's anything in here. Oh, it went. Oh, that's weird. I guess decrypt is it's all in the same area. Oops. Huh. I think I'm confusing myself. Yeah, so I guess the shortcut would just be to like go to main and then see what it's supposed to return.
And then just set a breakpoint there.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could do that.
Well, I don't mean in there, but I mean like after the after it's deobfuscated.
Oh, sure.
Like if you figure out wherever it's going to be in the deobfuscated state.
I keep losing my cursor on the
And you don't necessarily have to go on super long if you're almost done. It's whatever you feel like.
All right. I mean, if everybody is interested, then I don't mind. I mean, this can be pretty fun. So I guess it goes to a GC handle. Huh. Yeah, so I guess we would want to, oh, whoops, wrong. Put it right here, because then I believe at breakpoint. Yeah, because after this, I think it's actually going to try to execute.
And can you do a watch on any of those things, perhaps? Or?
I think so. I think maybe I need to start the debugger to be able to look at.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've used this. Oh, yeah, I guess I'm using the 64-bit version. That's why I guess you should usually just use PE Explorer to check what you're actually working with. Right, so now we actually have it open in the right program. Then I'll just close so it's still there. I think I can just go start. And yeah. Cool, yeah, so it should show up. Did I just accidentally run it? Because it doesn't look like it's at the breakpoint.
Well, it could be oh, there you go.
Cool. Yeah, so okay. So we have all
That's the entry point, or?
Yeah, this is entry point.
So a lot of debuggers are going to be similar, step into, step over, step out.
So it should be.
We saw an executable value up above. Yeah, there.
Yeah, that one.
Did we see that before?
I think this is the actual name of the.
Oh, never mind.
I could be wrong. Sometimes I get confused because when it decompiles, it actually pulls out the original file name at compilation, and then there's what the file is actually named.
Can we see array 2? Oh, that's null.
Yeah, so it would be stored in G handle. I guess if I step again. Oops. I think I just deployed it.
I think you should have done step over. I think you went inside a function, or maybe not. I don't.
I think you're right. If I go back,
set another breakpoint.
yeah, maybe.
Like set a breakpoint on the next line.
Oops. Oh, cool.
Step over skips going inside the function for anyone who doesn't know.
Oh, and I think I definitely did just execute it.
You can see inside the array too that's been populated with something.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a binary.
How do you know that because of the 4D5A?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Can you extract the binary if it's binary?
How do we get back to? I don't remember how to get back to the window. It should just be able to save the hex from. Nope. Oh, no, okay, yeah, I'm just dumb. Assuming I'm doing this right.
You just call it something bin.bin.
Oops. And I guess we should be able to.
Maybe open that up in IDA.
Oh, sure.
Or some other utility to get information on it. Doesn't have to be IDA. More apps?
I should have. Oops. Sorry, still getting used to the laptop. Yeah. So it's another .NET binary. And it says it's deep C, or at least it thinks it is.
Deep C obfuscator. That's interesting.
We could try to do it again. With, I think this was it at the bottom, right? Oh, that's a nice name. Obfuscated by Goliath. Nice. I can't find. Oh, I guess it's because it's obfuscated. That's why. Do I have?
Were you just trying to find main or?
Oh, I was trying to, but I think because it's obfuscated, can't get it. So I'm trying to find the right tool. I think this one. Nope, wrong one. It's either this one. Yeah, cool. I think it's this one. Nope. I always forget which one it is because they all look the same.
I'm not sure what you're trying to do.
I was trying to unpack it.
Oh,
I know.
Bear's not going to do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember which one it is. I know it's one of them. Nope. Yeah. You might have to look it up. It's what was it? Obfuscator by Goliath.
One thing said that. Oh, that's cool. Does it have the word Goliath on this page?
Oops. Oh, and Deep Sea, supposedly.
Nice. Yeah, Deep Sea was the other one that I think it said at one something on it said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, PE Explorer. So how do we? Do I have to compile it from scratch?
It should go to tell somewhere down below.
Yeah, I think I have to, because I didn't see releases anywhere at the top.
It's a good find.
Maybe it's already on here. Never used it before though.
There's a build power script somewhere.
Oh, it is on here. See if I can. Okay, cool. So see what that does.
Do use a -D to detect the obfuscator. Do you?
Oh, I guess I pathed it wrong.
You can always right click it and go to file properties. That'll always tell you where it is.
Oh.
If you see the shortcut, just
Oh, well, yeah, I know what it was. I didn't include users. Okay, yeah, so it says Babel, so I guess -p.
Something claimed. It's at the bottom there. Oh, never mind. You see it.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to get the. So I
Dog.
think we should be able to see main now, or I thought. Oh, I hope it wasn't there the whole time. Yeah, so, oops, what? I hit the wrong thing. So I guess now you have void main string. And then even more. So we'll go.
And that may not be obfuscation. That could just be their language.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
Return this. Interesting.
Oops. Do you think it's another binary?
You can always grab part of it, just check, see if it's ASCII.
Oops.
But it doesn't look like ASCII to me because there are some high numbers there. So probably not ASCII. It's probably either binary or just obfuscated content.
So that was method 0. What was referenced? Interesting.
A whole analysis like this sometimes can be very time consuming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I get the feeling this one's going to be the gift that keeps on giving. So it goes method 1, and then it splits the, is that the provided array or? Not that I'm sure it really matters. The order, I would assume it would just be this last one.
I'm not sure.
But we could breakpoint it again and then see what's here.
Yeah, sometimes just using breakpoints and doing a dynamic process is going to be most efficient.
Oh, that's weird. An exception occurred.
Does it need to have a file extension? Does that make a difference?
Well, we did the others without one, so
Yeah.
or no,
I wasn't
did we?
thinking.
Here, let me just. I'll rename it. And hopefully you don't detonate it. maybe it's something else now. Oh, my bad. Detected Goliath.net.
Really?
So it's still a .NET program.
Was it Goliath before?
Yeah, I think so. Let me scroll up a bit. Yeah, so before it said, well, I don't know if this will actually do anything, but no, I keep typing the wrong thing. So we cleaned it. And oh, okay, so now it's okay, maybe it'll actually work this time. So wrong button. I'm gonna close all of these. I'll keep that one, but okay. Yeah, that's a lot more.
Like this one more?
Yeah, like there's way more functions in here.
Usually when we do something like this, we'll have the malware available for everybody to follow along in their own machines, but this was kind of spur of the moment.
Oh, that's why I'm dumb. I opened the wrong one. I mean, there was quite a bit already. It doesn't really look any different, but maybe if I breakpoint it again, we can run it. Nope.
I was afraid of that.
I guess I'm stumped.
Yeah, I'm stumped too as well. Probably need to just reevaluate every aspect of the whole process and see if anything was any mistakes. Does it need a particular environment? Is that the issue maybe? Or
I mean,
are there anti-analysis in place?
I could have just like unpacked it and it didn't need to be. Hmm. Nope. Maybe with everything else closed.
You could also try it in a just a regular debugger. You found
Yeah,
the
that's
right
true.
breakpoint. But then you have to go and determine where that is. But I'm guessing it may be the same issue.
Just curious to see what it'll do. Okay, yeah, kind of expected that. Yeah, let's try that, see what happens.
Maybe see if it just executes even a few instructions.
Huh. I'm not sure where to place it.
Something like this might be easier to open it in a disassembler, investigate, and then determine where you want to do the breakpoint from the disassembler. And then once you find that, then get that offset and then set a breakpoint there. But before you would do that, I would just check to even see that it's going to run just doing a few instructions, which it probably will.
Oh, sure.
And I say that only just because we had problems with it even executing. I just did like set a random breakpoint somewhere. Oh, there you go. Looks like it did. So that's working. Not everybody has to stay if they have other things they need to do. So just asking for a link to the sample. We did not give a link earlier. Currently, Mike is the only one who has the sample.
True. I'll upload it on the drive. I guess especially if anybody who watches the recording wants to play with it.
Maybe you could collect all the artifacts that you've created and upload all of those. And if somebody wants to experiment with any of the process, then they could do that.
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Take care, Luke.
Oh, sorry, I guess I haven't been looking in the chat.
I'll follow. You don't have to. Your chat is on the screen. We can see.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's actually blacked out, but
Oh,
it won't make your recording look as good.
okay. Yes. I guess I could just keep going.
It's up to you.
Oh, I meant just like letting it run and see what happens. Otherwise, I
What
mean,
about just opening it in the disassembler?
yeah. I had IDA open. Should just be able to.
Just try a PE. If it's not going to let you do that one,
I have
maybe
a
too
quick
hard.
I have a quick question just about kind of another platform. Do you have any experience with like disassembling Android or iOS malware?
Actually, so I haven't tried that before, but I know there's actually a lot of software you can use because so it's all like Java compiled. So you can use, I think it's called JDEX. You can decompile the APKs, and it's for the most part, it's like the same idea. When you use JDEX, though, the decompilation isn't as true as something like .NET.
Right, it's like
Um,
Kotlin code or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's still better than like this.
For sure. Okay, yeah, I just didn't know if there are any tools you knew about for like malware specific purposes. Because I've gone through like a little bit of the Android reversing boot camp, but they really just go into reversing and not really like, I guess, malware techniques for Android malware.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a good question. I know there's somebody who presented it during one of Brisandine's classes when I was in the class. It was like a year or two ago, and I know he did some Android malware stuff, but
It was this guy. I don't think it was malware. He was actually a SDSU student, and he was pretty young himself. He was only like a senior, but he went and he created his own software so that you could he went and actually reverse engineered cars and then built an app so that you could go and kind of adjust things. People used it to reverse engineer their cars and adjust things and all of that. But in any case, he did a presentation, which Micah was talking about, on reversing Android stuff in general, not specifically malware. I can send you the link to his video if you want to watch it. It was
Yeah,
pretty good.
please do.
I personally don't have much experience with Android reversing Android.
Gotcha. Yeah, I found this like PDF on the internet called Writing an Android Trojan from Scratch, and just found that interesting. So I'd like to see how it is kind of on the receiving end of that, how you take that apart.
Ghidra might have better support than IDA, since IDA and the IDA educational, which we don't have on here, possibly might have support for the that file type.
Okay, cool. I'll try it out.
I was speaking more to Micah, sorry, for what he was
Oh,
doing.
okay. Gotcha.
oh,
But
sorry.
it is also possible that Ghidra might have some support.
Oh, true.
Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, goodbye. Doo, doo, doo. Yeah, let me see if we can get it to work here. I'm not sure why it's being so finicky. I mean, it could be just because of how many times we ran it through the
I was thinking that
deobfuscator.
as well. It may not have been correctly deobfuscated. There could be errors introduced. I don't know.
True. I mean, because we did it was Babel one first, and then we did Goliath. I mean, maybe we should have done Goliath and not the other one. Um,
Can you click OK at the bottom?
Oh, yeah.
You just canceled it. Just double click it again.
Yeah. Okay, my bad. Interesting. Incomplete. Yeah, I wonder if the obfuscator just like scrubbed it a little too hard.
That might be a good point to stop.
Yeah, true. We're going past 2 hours. Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
If you find anything new on it, you could always like add another video and like send out a link to people and they could watch it.
Sure. Yeah. I think I'll upload it onto the drive, and I'll share the abuse.ch link as well. And then anyone who's interested can, take a peek at it. You don't have to, but if you're interested, it could be, fun.
Nope.
It's always a lot more interesting too when you don't have like a technical, report in front of you with all the spoilers. It's like when you play a game and you don't buy the walkthrough guide.
Sometimes malware analysis can be extremely time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Even just doing things an hour or 2 hours, that's not always going to be likely. You might be spending a lot more than that.
Cool. Yeah. You're welcome, guys. So I'll try to push that out to you. I don't really have any announcements at the moment, but I'll email everyone to get on the list for the next topic. Try to do that sometime this week, before it gets too late.
Does Odin have any announcements?
Oh, true.
No, just what I was mentioning before, like about Dr. Stroshine wanting to help and like maybe present some malware samples. So I'll talk to him, and maybe next meeting he will like maybe present for part of it.
I'd say it'd be good to maybe have him or you maybe link up with Micah and maybe figure out how long he's going to go and how long Dr. Stroshine might go, or stuff like that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll definitely ask him.
I doubt he's going to go for 2 hours.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe like a half hour.
You can
that's fine.
speed run it.
True. Okay. Did you have anything, Bremo?
Nope. I have nothing else to add.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I guess that's it. We'll keep you guys posted. Thanks for coming today. It was nice having the big turnout.
For sure. Take care, everybody.
See you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for
Later,
the
guys.
presentation, man.
See ya.